All right, well, I'm going to stop that. And let's see. That doesn't seem loud enough, and I don't see any sound happening. But it helps when you unmute your mics. Okay. Well, this is Mark Black, and I'm here as the owner and Jefe of Promethean Studios, and this is also Mark Teaches Music on the web. And this is one of four music seminars happening right now, and I can't figure out why this one is not right. Oh well. See, y'all, listen, having bad email problems and trying to stay on top of all this, but I'm incommunicado in terms of I don't know if I can contact people, and so far my emails haven't been working for about 4 days. So anyway, I'm going to continue. This is a music seminar for vocalists and those who want to be vocalists. So this is hidden skills of a successful vocalist. Now, the point of it is a little bit more like, hello there, DB Black. So this is a little different because what I'm trying to do this time is to try to group these points around skills or issues rather than point. And it will be point by point, but the point would be more like, let's say, and one of the issues will be breathing. So it's like, okay, so not specific teaching about breathing, but like what are issues about breathing, and then your issues about breathing, assuming that you're here to have an issue about issue issue about breathing, not an issue about issues. I've got those. So so it looks to me, I don't know why, I've got several streams here going on, several observations of streams, and I'm just going to try. It's just me and my lonesome here, and so I'm trying to.
I believe you can be great at the music you love and have fun and be awesome. This channel is
I
dedicated.
do believe you can have fun and be awesome. That's absolutely right. Okay. So on the interwebs, I don't see anything. Well, I mean, I'm on the interwebs, other places, but on my phone, I don't see anything. All right, this is all. Okay, cool. So we're going to get started here, and I know you're anxious that I would. And so the issues we're going to talk about, things that can affect you, uh, are, and you could put this in the chat if you want to talk about one of these, and I'm saying them backwards, but is practice habits, things, these are the coup de glotte, or the stroke of the glottis using the glottal stop, um, vibrato, and the things that go with that, range, your freedom, in this case I mean ability and comfort to add notes and um, licks, not just licks, but little turns, little words to your things. Pitch, being in tune, and those various issues of singing harmony, for example, could be seen as a part of pitch. Um, Head voice, chest voice, blend, mix, all those different terms, and those issues about that. Your timbre, the tone quality, and just music is such a fascinating thing. And air slash breath, breath support using your lungs to do various things and what that does. Um, Performance concept, your performance concept, and how that can inform you, how other people's concept can inform you, and change how you sing and what you do. Fear, performance fear. Uh, and so, if any of those sounded interesting to you, please chat it up, and, and then I would focus on those. So, to begin with, though, I am. So I can see this is a big different thing, and it says it's going. But I have two. I have looks like my Zoom meeting is going, as a Zoom meeting should go. I don't see any of my thugs on here listening, but perhaps the thugs will show up soon. And but then I've got this feed from my iPad that does not show even the seminar. I see three things that show me, my beautiful face. This is what color is this? This mauve. Anyway, this is a mauve, some color shirt. And on YouTube, it doesn't look very colorful, but it's quite colorful. So anyway, all right. So the first thing we want to mention, and I've mentioned this before, and I did not invent these by any stretch of the imagination, but I just wanted to comment. Well, I did invent these things. I'm going to show you right here, and that is we could call them the parts of, and there are probably some other parts. I don't know what they would be, but it's just through the years and decades of teaching people, I'm noticing people constantly actually, having different reasons or reactions to, in other words, everybody, I call them organics is who I call what most people imagine musicians to be. And most people, certainly maybe like 85% of the people who are famous and you know their names and you buy their albums and stuff are not what I would call an organic. Meaning it's just like what you kind of, like, I just sing, I just go for it, I just be, and it's just so awesome and wonderful. And what most people are is not that. They're a blend of these things. That is, they have some natural talent, which I would call, we could just call it, artistic skills or whatever. That is, so there's something they're starting with, and but some of them have great ears, some of them have great practice skills, some of them had marvelous teachers that helped them. Some of this them are great at performing. I'm just looking at these things. Some of them have big goals. Like and as opposed to some people who are great. As it's like they were great and somebody found them or developed them and pulled them in, and so other people are like I'm going to be the best, or I am the best, and so anyway, I'm just saying that picture of the vocalist or the musician as a you're just so talented, you're just so gifted, like you didn't do anything, you just arrived that way. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger with his magnificent muscles, he never did anything, he just arrived out of the womb, 6'4" with weighing 240 pounds, just from the beginning. No, it's not how it happened. And then, so I'd say 85-90% of professional people that did not, they were a mix of things. They were not just, raw talent, raw ability. Everything was easy for them, quick for them, natural for them. Some things were, and then other things they worked for, other things they discovered, other things they nursed along and grew and had no clue about and discovered. So anyway, it's just something to think about in your own, when you think about yourself. It's not you have to be born, as a musician or as a vocalist, but rather many things you can add. And what the listener wants is you to go over the top. If there's this level where we quit, I've said it, many times, but to where we quit worrying. You are a musician when people quit worrying about you making a mistake. When people quit worrying, is he going to screw? Is he going to hit that note? Is he going to stay in time? Is he going to go flat? When they quit worrying about that, you're a musician. Whether you get money for it or not. Because at that point, people have quit thinking about poor old you, or isn't that sweet he's singing. They're thinking about the song and the music and the experience, the time at the restaurant or the club or whatever, and that's what we want. So anyway, so here's something, and again, I didn't invent these. This is 4 distinct problems of the vocalist, and I just want you to think about this. So this is different than from being an instrumentalist. An instrumentalist does not have to deal with this. Number 1 is about the voice. You cannot directly observe and control your voice. when you sing, and I go ah, and I say oh, I go I'm supposed to hit this note, so I go ah, and the guy goes, well that's flat, and then how am I going to fix that? Uh, I can't go ah, I can't adjust something. I have to imagine or hear, but again, what am I adjusting? I hear it correctly, but I have to adjust it. So it's like unlike a guitar, unlike a trumpet player or something, it'd be like, well, they have physical things they can do, touch, you're not holding your hand right, and for the vocalist, it's all invisible, and that means it's harder to adjust, and frequently, or sometimes our teachers don't correctly diagnose what the problem is, and so, or even hear a problem. So anyway, you can't directly observe it, you can't directly control it. It's just like almost sort of like somebody sending you a letter. Your voice is sending you a letter, dear, Mark, I am flat. Help me, in a bottle. This is in a bottle. And the second thing is that because you can't see your voice, the voice is the most organic in the sense that natural and can be very unobserved, and like I don't know why I'm doing this. Or sounds like this. I don't understand why. And so it's a collection of habits and feelings. This feels natural. This doesn't feel natural. But that doesn't mean that it's right because it feels natural. I mean, we would all say as vocalists, you'd have things you'd say, well, I sound pretty stinky at this, but it feels pretty comfortable. It doesn't feel weird. This not very good sound sounds pretty good, to me, or feels pretty good, is what I'm trying to say. If that's so, it's very prominent. Um, so it's like this sound I'm making feels okay, but it doesn't sound very good. So a lot of times the change that we want to make feels unnatural. Now that can be true for instruments. You can say, well, I was supposed to hold my guitar like this, and I'm used to holding it like this, or you get a new mouthpiece and you get various things. Boy, this feels weird. But for the voice, you are singing just like we speak in life. You've met people and the guy's talking like this, and you're going like, what? Well, why does he talk like? Why would anybody? Or be talking like this. Hey, what's going on? And you'd be listening to that person and think, why would anybody let their voice go like that? And that would be the way they go. It's because it's a habit. It's normal. It feels comfortable. And so a lot of times when we come into this, is a distinct problem of the vocalist is that when we have a problem, something we want to fix, need to fix, we have trouble with the fix because the fix feels artificial or unusual, and it takes a long attention span to be like, this fix, this patch I'm sticking on my voice problem, I don't like it, and so we can get rid of that fix before it's taken, before it's become natural. So we have to watch that. So new techniques they can be unusual, uncomfortable, and frequently feel unnatural, and a lot of times because of that we would abandon them. Uh, Another thing is you can't really hear, you can learn to hear yourself as you really sound, but it is not natural. And I'm going to take my mighty headphones off. But the way we actually hear ourselves is stick your fingers in your ears. That is the sound that you're used to hearing. That sounds exactly like me with your inner ear. And so you're, you know, 10 or 15 or 17 or whatever before you if you ever consciously realize it at all, it's another story, but before you actually go, this warm, rich, fuzzy sound is not how everybody else hears me. And you may have been had a recording of yourself or a recording of a party or an event, and you'd be saying, hey, who's that? And your friend will go, that's you. And you go like, that's not me. I don't sound like that. And you've got a person thinking that nasally voice or that thin voice or that, whatever, that dull sounding, it's not me. I don't sound like that, because you're used to hearing yourself with your inner ear. And so everybody else hears you with their outer ear. So as a musician, as a vocalist, you have to learn to hear with your outer ear. Now you can do that, and that's one of the purposes of friends and teachers, to say, you think you sound bright and it actually sounds kind of dull, or you think you sound um, whatever. There's a way because you have this. You're actually hearing, if you, to be the truth be told, you're hearing both. We hear the inner ear and the outer ear, and then when you're assessing yourself, how do I sound? You got to be like, I don't. This inner ear doesn't matter. But what matters is the outer ear. So we have to learn, be taught, or teach ourselves to hear with the outer ear. It's an unusual thing. And then, unlike any other instrument, when we get this beautiful tone, it's just the most wonderful tone in the world. Oh my gosh, we sound so awesome. We have to stick words onto that tone, and that means that. So we have this beautiful thing. This thing you go like the we'll go for this is Mr. Flim doing the voice seminar here. Now go e and go e, but in a song and then go bu 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 and go pa 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 and go pa and go la la go pa la pa la. That's the beginning consonants, the beginning and ending of words that we're singing, and then the vowels. When I just pick the and the e. So let's say bleep. It was a bleep. And imagine you're a trumpet player and you had this sound you've been working on for 10 years, and suddenly instead of just playing the sound, you have to have the sound ba, and you have to start it with a pa, a bu, explosion. Open as you can be, and then you got to make this in the middle of it. You got to go, whoa. You got to squish the tone down like that. Then you got to go from that rich to lee, and you got to flatten that sound skinny. And then you got to put a P on the end of it. You got, and that's all necessary. So anyway, for the voice, instead of just having this beautiful tone, we have to do things to the tone. So we say words, and those words, the very way that they make them is they squeeze the tone, they cut off the tone, they start it in different ways. They use a thinner, smashed sound, a very open sound in here, back in this part. Fair. So anyway, we have to do that, and instrumentalists do not have to do that. So there's specific problems with the vocalist, and as a result of those problems, the voice, oppositely, is the most natural instrument of all. And of course, you have, friends and relatives that are mechanics and lawyers and housewives and or all three or whatever, and they can sing, and they can sing. Some of them sing really great, and it's like, well, because God made that voice natural, singing and music natural, and so kind of back to the original, one of the things I was saying a second ago about it, and the voice is thus, or not thus, but it is such a collection of habits. So and natural is what I'm getting at. So we trying to be better vocalists, we're pulling that out and looking at that vocal, and going, you're not quite as full as I want you to be. You're not quite as you can't sing as high as I want you to. So because there's so many billion people in the chat here, I'm gonna randomly, seriously, I got all these topics. I don't want to go in order because it kind of messes me up. So I'm just going to pick one, and I'm picking range and the issues of range. And now range is relative. So if I go, I've been waiting for a girl like you, I've been waiting. So, that's fine. Let's see what that is. So, that's an E. So what went, I've been waiting. So the first went, I've been waiting, I've been waiting, I've been waiting. I'm just showing you, I have a lot more range than that first thing. And yes, they are higher. But that middle one, for example, where is it? I've been waiting, I've been waiting. That one, that's plenty high. In the sense that relatively it feels quite high. And so when we sing, we don't have to sing so high. And one of the reasons that we would, and every professional singer adjust the keys. And I'm talking about your favorite person. You know, if it's Frank Sinatra, if it's Bruno Mars. Now, these guys are a lot of these guys are just marvelous vocalists. I'm not trying to cut them in any sense. Even Tori Kelly is really great in terms of her skills. Um, but they would say something like, "Well, that doesn't show my voice up enough. I'm going to do it higher." Or they would do like, "No, that is too high for me. That's a bad key for me." They would say, and so they adjust those things. So one of the things you should feel comfortable doing is changing the key of things. Now, again, we have the short term and the long term on the range, and so in the short term, like I got to sing tomorrow night, I need to accept my range limitations. I can't sing above an A. So I'm not going to plan my song either to be at an A or certainly not above the A. And I would probably, because I said a minute ago, what people are looking for with you, with any musician, and very especially as a vocalist, because it's the most personal, psychologically intense instrument, which is where the fear comes from. But anyway, what people are looking for is this guy does not seem uncomfortable. Uh, I am not worried about him doing what he's supposed to do, and I can enjoy the songs and quit worrying about him and I feel sorry for him or he's such a loser because he can't hit these notes like that. So if this is my very highest note, I can just barely hit this note, I do need to change. This is a brief soliloquy about range in general. So I'm going to drop those songs just a tad so that every note I sing is great, and both of us are going to be happy. The singer and the audience is going to be more happy than if I try to hit this note and I mess it up. I hit this note and I mess it up. Nobody's going to be happy. We want everybody to be happy. And so anyway, so in the short term, we accept our range and say that's our range, you know, and I'm good with that. In the long term, we say I want to build my range, and low and high, because music is about contrast. And it's not that I'm supposed to go bum 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 bum. Let's pretend it's really great. It's okay. But the point is not hitting these low notes. The point is contrast. So I could go ba bum 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 ba 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 ba. Forget that last one. But anyway, the point is the contrast is what's exciting, and not I pushed it a little too far. So just going ba 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 ba. I've been waiting. You know that's cool because that high note. Ah, but I could have gone. I've been waiting. Yeah yeah yeah. Contrast. So anyway, so it's not the absolute. Can you sing an A? Can you sing C? Can you sing an F? You know, it's do you have enough range that you can do contrast? Now that, as every point, is the correct one. And then there is the absolute sense that I'm working to sing higher. I'm working to hit the E. I'm working to hit F. I'm working to hit F sharp. And I am. You know, and so I'm agreeing with that. But I just want us to put range in perspective. So range is a relative term. We hear something is high because something was lower and it goes high. And so we need to be able to work with it as vocalists and not like, because if you're singing your songs and they always feel too high and you always feel strained, yes, you need to learn how to sing higher, and you can get instruction to do that, or you can do it on your own. But in the short term, you need to adjust, bring those keys down to a key that you can sing well. You're not being a wimp. The only reason you're being a wimp is if you never adjusted it. If you never said, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna get past that. So don't do that. I mean, they just become complacent. But if you don't do that, then you're well within the boundaries of where you should be. So don't worry about that at all. No, not a bit. All right. So now, and there's so in exercises, just comment, talking about range still, is that arpeggios, ma 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 ma, like that. They don't have to be moms. It was the da 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 da. Minor said ma 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 ma. You know, same point. Hopping, we hit the notes, we hit the high notes, and then we're back off of that high note before we in low note two. Bum ba 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 ba. So we're off the low note or the high note before it kind of grips us and says, "You can't sing me." So so it's a little easier to develop range with arpeggios. In your singing, more than half the time, the reason you are having a hard time with a high note is because of breath support. And here's what one weird trick. Here's one weird trick to hit a high note, and that is simply imagine that that note either goes higher after you hit it, or it goes longer than it really does. So back to this one. Instead of if I'm going, I've been waiting, so I can give it more air. Just think of it air like I've been waiting, and I can think of it like it's going to go, I've been waiting. I'm going to cut it off. I've been waiting. I'm not trying to blow you out. Sorry. Is that too loud? Looked a bit loud. So I'm imagining it going on. I'm only going to sing, I've been waiting. But if I was having any trouble hitting it, I would imagine it continuing. And here's the note. Imagine a note as a thing. This is a note. And your breath catches that note and carries it on. It's a wave. I've been waiting. And it goes on, the wave of air goes on past the note so that you're supporting the note. So again, this is just a little Jedi mind trick that'll help you hit the note. Because I'm saying a lot of times you can't hit the note simply because you're not supporting it. You can hit it, but you aren't giving it enough air, basically. So let's see, what's anything else about that? Okay. All right. I'm still on topic, so we'll see if anything. Oh yes, and another trick for low notes when you're again, we want to develop our range on low notes too. But I've had a really low note to sing ba, ba. That's real. So what I would do, and what you should do, is you should relax your throat and sing a very breathless. In the short term, I got to sing it tonight instead of something like ba. So I can't hit it, so I go ba, ba. Here's a lot of air in there. And you hear this coming out just fine. And everybody would think, oh my gosh, what a lovely low voice he has. And yeah, that's good. Of course, what we really want is to be able to hit that ba, ba, which is not quite there today, but that's okay. So I'm saying that's a trick for low notes that aren't coming out. But sing them breathy. All right, now I just lifted my eyes to another one of the topics here. Areas, arenas, and the arena is timbre, and timbre, tone quality, voice quality, timbre in Portuguese, it's timbre, which is pretty cool. Okay, so the whole arena of timbre, your tone quality. Now, I'm saying Robin Williams. I can't think of any, I don't know anybody current, but you think of Robin Williams in Aladdin and different, the animated, and different things like that. And the point is, he's doing the voice like this for when he says this line, and he's yeah, well, I don't know. The voice is going all over the place, all these different sounds. So if he can do that, and people can do that, and again, you meet people that talk like this, and you meet people that talking like this, and you meet people that talk. I don't understand a lot of things about people, seriously. When they listen to their own voice, it seems like they would go like, I don't want to be like that. But people tend to treat their voice like it's natural. Here we're talking about timbre. Your voice is made of silly putty. You can make your voice sound like you want to sound. And I never intend to say things that are controversial, but I do, because it seems to be a lot of tradition. People who are and systems that are stuck and just don't seem to me, from my standpoint, don't seem to be looking at the possibilities and the choices. So anyway, your voice is malleable quite a bit, and you think about the ranges of sounds you've heard people sing and say, and hardly anybody would go to a singer and say like, y'all know who Alt J is? I mean, like that, you know. So I'm just saying, hardly anybody goes to a professional singer talking about somebody who's on the radio and goes like, boy, your voice stinks, you know, or you have a really bad tone quality. Uh, but it would say that to you if you were trying to mess with your voice. So anyway, I'm telling you, you can change your voice. You can make your voice sound the way you want to. And I personally, am not at all pressing this. I think it's what I want to do is change my vocal quality depending on what I'm singing. So I really do sing like way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, or in the pine where the cold wind shines. Cold wind, that's not quite right. Something bad happens in the pines. So anyway, high lonesome, because I was born in Alabama and raised in Mississippi, and that's the way I is. But at the same time, if I was going, it was the 3rd of September, I always remember, yes I will, 'cause that was the day when my daddy died. So now I'm trying to sing like a black man. Like a minute ago I was trying to sing like a country man. And I would change my voice. Like I like that. I like the way that sounds. Now you do not have to do that. You might find that excessive and you'd be wrong. No, I'm kidding. That's totally fine. But if you, when you have things about your voice you do not like, the sound of your voice, and specifically we could think of it like you hold a note, ba, or oh, or ba. Those are all different timbres and more or less acceptable timbres. Um, when you listen to your voice, you can change it. So the basic thing is, and this is straight from me, although I didn't invent it in any sense of the word, but I just, you know, different people don't necessarily support these things. But the idea is that when you sing a note, most of your notes, you would drop your tongue and open your throat like a yawn. When I yawn, I open the pharynx back here. And this chamber back behind my tongue opens up really big. It's a graphic equalizer for your voice. So here's a note.
I'm making this just the only thing I'm doing right now is just smashing that sound and making that space just as little as possible. So I squeeze it. Oh my gosh, it's so tiny now. And so I go,
this sound, hey, and this sound, hey. That's the same note. There's no difference in those notes. The difference is overtones. This has a lot of low overtones and very few upper overtones. Oh, this has a lot of high overtones and very few low overtones. So you can adjust your voice, and especially when we go higher, our kind of body's natural reaction to singing these high notes is to squish and squeeze. You constrict your throat. You quit supporting very much from the diaphragm, and so it's like if we looked at a regular scale, it'd be sort of like ah, and you're singing a song, you're going ah, you know, Bali. I'm exaggerating, but it would be a little bit like that. And so we could look at it like in everything you do, you should open up in a big, raw, beautiful, fat sound. And I'm not talking classical. Ah, that's a depressed larynx, and that's not what I'm talking about. So that's out right now. I'm just saying it's just to be this sound. Ah, that's just a nice sound. Now that doesn't mean it. Again, I was just showing you a minute ago for everything. So like, what's that song? I don't want to do another country song, but you know, I might have a little mud in my boots. On, you know, something fill my boots with mud. No, on my boots. So, point there is that I'm talking about you singing. Let me just think of something else. Well, Layla, got me on my knees, Layla. Now I'm eating cheese for some reason. Apparently they were going out and stopped by a little coffee shop. And but anyway, so I hope none of that sounds formal. We're not talking about formal. We're talking about sounding beautiful or powerful. So anyway, as we sing higher, so if I was going, ah, so what I do not want to do this for you, but I'm going to do it. Up, up. I'm hitting that high note, and I'm trying to open my throat and drop my tongue as much as I can, like a yawn, because yawn is a reflex, and it makes those sounds, those thin sounds that want to be thin, makes them much fuller and rounder. Now, so most people tighten up. So the pharynx is the graphic equalizer of the voice, and so if you have a dull sound like this is I've got this little, again, this is a topic of timbre. So kind of just not unrelated things. They are related to timbre, but they're not related to anything else really, or they're all over the place. So the point is, no. So if you have a dull tone like this, like right now, what I'm doing, I have too much air in my sound, and I want to say that when I'm doing this, we're talking about dropping your tongue and opening your throat. You can't open up so much. Most people cannot do these extremes. That is, you try your best to open up and drop your tongue, and all you're going to get, if you're lucky, is a good sound. You're not going to get a fuzzy bear sound that's incredibly open. That's not going to happen because you don't have the capacity to open up that much yet. Maybe if you try it for a year or two, open it up, then you can get this really stupid sound that I'm doing. But you probably can't, because it's like, there's a 300-pound weight there. Yes, you could drop that on yourself and kill yourself, but you can't even pick it up. I can't pick it up, so I don't have to worry about that dangerous possibility. So there's a possibility of opening up too much and having, right now we're talking about a dull sound. So one of them would be you're opening up too much here, too much space between the vocal folds, and so you're letting a lot of air in. And another is you're letting air through the soft palate up in here. I'm doing that. So there's air. You hear that change? So that's air and sounds coming through there. And there's sounds that intentionally, when you say M and you say in and you say ng, those are nasal sounds. Air's coming directly. It doesn't matter if my mouth is open or not for, say, mom, Megan. So anyway, so the point there is, if there's air coming, there's a dull sound. It can be either that your vocal cords are too far open, or the air's coming through your nose when you don't mean to, the soft palate, or both. And
so this is the Kermit sound. This I've had students that sing like this.
Or part of it, when a lot of people, when they try to open up, have that big round full sound, they'll start depressing your larynx.
The larynx is pressed down.
So relax your larynx. Okay, well, that's all I can think of about timbre. And now I'm going to just, seriously, I've got these timbres. I'm just going to randomly look at fear. Now we know from Dune that fear is the mind killer. It's also the performance killer. And it's the most natural thing in the world to be afraid when you sing. And of course, that's a total function of your personality. And I mean, how you naturally are, how you naturally be. And meaning it's very hard to root out. And there's so many books written about overcoming fear. And fear as a performer, and the voice is the most psychologically intense. For some reason, most people on an instrument, a trumpet player plays a wrong note, and they're going to look at their horn like bad horn. You played a wrong note, or it's kind of like, darn it, But and the same thing, guitar player, piano player. But a vocalist tends to feel bad about themselves. Now, you may not do that. I hope you don't do that. But that's the real thing. I'm not something I'm making up. And the reason I'm talking about it because I want you to be free from it. And so hidden things about the vocalist. So many people are crippled in their performances because they're uh, afraid they mess up. Now, again, when I say that's in your personality, if you are an introvert, and believe it or not, I'm an introvert. Uh, Simply, we could say it a bunch of different ways, but it means one thing is that an introvert has a wall or a bubble around themselves and says, "Well, I'll let you in to my world. No, you cannot come in my world, but you can, and that's enough. Two people in my world is enough." And it could be anywhere from you want to be by yourself, or you want to be with your wife, or you want to be with your family. What I'm saying is how many people can come in that. But the point is that's a limit. An extrovert does not have that wall. It's like everybody can come in, sure, and that means things like let's talk about extrovert for a second, to compare with the introvert. The point is that the extrovert say, "Yeah, come on, look at my room's a mess. There's a wreck. Yeah, I'm flunking out of school too. I can't believe it. I guess I should have studied." And my wife's leaving me. So they're like their life is open. And an introvert typically would show you the past tense that is good. He would say, "Yeah, last week I practiced for 4 hours uh, in 2 days." Or, "Yeah, I got a promotion, a couple of months ago. It's really good." You know, and they're not going to tell you about the bad things, not because they're prideful, but because you're not inside. And so if you can imagine that approach, that thinking, you go to sing a song, and what you're thinking of as an introvert is you're thinking all these people, even if it's just 5 people, are invading. They're hearing me. I'm not necessarily ready. And it's sort of like, just as if you were in a situation, which is an easy half of people performing, uh, and people who are good musicians, an easy half, if not more. Uh, it's like these people are going to hear me mess up, you know, and that pressure of not messing up coming from you. It's not coming from them. And I've been in so many A performances and then B uh, recitals and concerts, with students, and it's like the audience is almost entirely, I mean, 99.99% of the time, just so for every person, including, it's like the worse the people are, the more the audience is for them. But the musician, singer, cannot usually get that in their head that this is a bunch of people that like me. All they can think of coming from themselves is that fear of messing up. So the voice, I said a little bit ago, is the most psychologically intense instrument, and it really is. And again, like I said, because it's just you. You're the instrument. If you messed up, you're a bad person, and that's not true, of course, but that's the way we feel. So let me suggest that you take a long-term approach to fixing that. I am an introvert, and I've performed thousands of times, and 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 you need to do that too. And by which I'm saying now, you have to start performing, and you have to start getting out there and messing up. And here's how I want you to do it. First thing is every time, every day, you and this will go for all musicians, but we're talking the vocalist right now. So you sing your song, you work on things, blah 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 blah. But set aside at least one of those times that you're performing that song, and by which I mean you will not stop. If you make a mistake, you will not restart. You forget a verse, you'll make up something to keep going. You'll sing the second verse again. You crack a note. You get right back where you're supposed to be. You get lost. You sing something under your da 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 da, and you act like there's an audience here right now in front of me. And what that does, when there's nobody there and you're doing this, you start developing a habit, a toolkit. What do I do when I forget a verse? What do I do when I crack a note? What do I do when I come in on the wrong note? And what if I sing the whole, 3 measures on the wrong notes? You start getting a toolkit of, I've been through this before. I know how to handle this. Now, that, again, the problem is in here, it's not really a technical problem, but you start getting a few a few tools, you start feeling like, oh, I can handle, I know what to, I can handle it if I get on the wrong note, or if I come in late, I can handle it because I got caught up, because you did it 20 times in the last year, and you're performing during a practice session as a part of your practice. And most people practice very poorly. I don't, and you think I mean much, but I don't necessarily mean that. I mean the way they practice is very anti-beneficial for us. It's not beneficial. So anyway, then every chance you get, you tell them that Mark Black on the internet told me to perform. You don't have to, in case you feel like they're not thinking this, but if you think they're thinking you're so stuck up and so you think you're so fine that you have to do this performance, then you can say, look, this guy said this is a great thing to do, and I'm talking about you perform for your mama, you perform for your daddy, you perform for your sister, you perform for your husband, you perform for your kids. And in terms of the nervousness, how you feel, if it's really nervous, then for example, make a video for them and give it to them. And I'm talking about, you need to perform live, yes. But if you can't do that, then make a recording and say, hey, I'm supposed to do this. It'll help me get over being nervous. So I'm going to give you this recording. So what you're thinking of, here's nervousness, okay? And you're thinking, where is the audience, a friend, blah, 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 that makes me I'm just a little bit nervous. I can handle this nervousness. And again, if it's just your husband, your wife, it's just somebody who you loves you and, that kind of stuff's for you, your mama. I'm not kidding, your mama, and it's like whoever. And you perform for them and you do that, and you'll know it's time to pick somebody else or to do it someplace else when here's the nervousness. The nervousness is pretty much gone. You don't care if they hear you. And I've seen, I know you want to know this, I've seen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, I've seen Bob Dylan performing, nervous as cats, sweating. They're just so nervous. They're just simply in situations, when they get in a situation they haven't been before. With Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's at, I think it's the Montrose Jazz Festival. It's the first time he's been in a jazz festival with, I can't think of the situation with Bob Dylan, except I remember Eric Clapton was on the stage. But anyway, point is only that, so famous people that you don't think, and half of the performers are nervous. You've heard the stories about people, I go up, I sing, and then I go off stage and throw up, and I come in, how nervous I am. So that's a normal thing. So what I'm saying here, you need to start performing at low enough levels of intensity, of nervousness that you can handle. It's just a little, it's a 5%, 10%, and then when that starts going away because you're getting so comfortable with that person. So for 5 years, I think 5, every work day, I performed for, I was not happy about it, I performed for 1,000 people every work day. And it's like, okay, so it's just like what I'm saying, talking about that, you're going to mess up, people are going to, and I would mess up. And guess what? Tomorrow I'm coming back. They'll still see me. He's still there. He messed that up last week, didn't he? Or yesterday, whatever. And so you get used to these situations, and that's what we want. We want you used to performing. We want you used to, it's fine if you make a mistake. It's fine if, you got your bag of tricks, how you fixed it, and you got to the mistake and you didn't have one. So you actually did mess up, and it was like noticeable. But now you got a new tool because you did do it, you did fix it, or you lived through it. The worst case scenario is you lived through it, and much more likely is you got just a tiny fraction less nervous, and you probably also got a tool, or at least an idea of how to start dealing with that. So you start getting tools that will work. You perform, you're doing it in these low key. It doesn't matter if you mess up in front of your mama, she loves you anyway. It doesn't matter if you mess up in front of your husband or your family, And you can, don't just, if it, again, the nervousness, if it's really nervous, cut it down. Figure out a way to make it less. And I suggested sending a recording to somebody, And I'm somebody you live with. I'm just too darn nervous to do it in front of you. So would you listen to this for me? And obviously, or I'm sorry, it's not obvious. Just in case you're wondering, it doesn't matter what they think. And of course we all have officious people that we know that are, like better than us and, smarter than us and sing better and all this kind of stuff. So we don't care what they think, really. They're just there in a good way, wholesome way, like people we love are. They're just there to help us. Then they're just, if that person, need to quit singing, you know, um, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter, because they're not our teacher, they're just helping us overcome this nervousness. All right, that's what all I got to say about fear, the mind killer. I'm trying to do another random. Here comes another random, and it is, well, this is a good one. It's just the next one I see that I haven't already said. Is that performance concept. Now, you need to compare yourself, or you need to think about who you like to listen to, and I'm talking about that as a weather vane, as a measurement. You like to listen to people. There's not a single person or group you can say I like, and I love the Cleveland Orchestra under George Snell. I love the Philadelphia Orchestra under Eugene Orbandy. Good gracious, the respect and love I have of that music, and those musicians. I'm just giving you my degrees in oboe. I have a degree in the oboe. Yes. So what I'm saying is, in no sense am I, well, I am a redneck, but in no sense am I, unknowledgeable, illiterate. I'm trying to say it wrong, but I can't think. Ill knowledgeable about the different things. All music is based on emotion. If you listen to Beethoven's Fifth, you listen to Fauré's Requiem, whatever, it's about emotion. And that's the funniest thing in the world to me, to have people who like, again, degree in oboe. I do have my bona fides. So I just laugh at people like, music's not about emotion, it's about intellect. No, you're having an emotion of enjoying the nobility and the serenity and the classic freedom and truth of classical music. Most classical music, classic classical music, and you like that emotion, and other people like the emotion of that guy's leaving me, and other people like the emotion of it's a great day, happy, happy. It may seem crazy, but I got to say. So performance concept is what I'm telling you to do is you have got to decide. You don't have to do it quickly, but you have got to perform, and you have got to decide what you're trying to do. Now, in all these seminars this time, I'm trying not to use other people's music, because that YouTube will give you a copyright strike, and even though nobody's heard of the song until I played it, it's still like somehow I'm stealing. So anyway, so I'm not playing anything in this seminar, and the ones I play in the other seminars are going to be songs either that I put together or are copy free or whatever. But think about James. Name some names. James Taylor, Pink, Taylor Swift, Tori Kelly, Bruno Mars, Frank Sinatra. Now, I'm just going to give you my synopsis on what I would think about these people. I think these are all great musicians in various degrees. They're great. James Taylor, we feel like what he's singing is the truth. He's relating a part of his life to us, and we just by him singing 3 notes, way down here, it's like this is something real, and there's this guy's just as like an old oak hope chest or something. It's like this old treasures in here from this dude, and I want to hear them. Pink, So what? It's not the right key. I am a rock star. I got my game on, and I need you. So what? All right, you know. That's the right key. So anyway, my point is, what are you thinking about Pink? We're thinking hard, not terribly hard. I mean, harsh or tough. There's a good word. Tough, up in your face. And I know she got many other songs. She had that "Please Don't Leave Me," really super sad song. And so there we would say, oh gosh, she's opening up her heart. But you know, like, I'm a rock star. I got my game on. You know, I'm bad. You know, and that's my performance concept. What is she thinking about? You know, what is she projecting? Taylor Swift. What is Taylor Swift projecting? Well, one thing. Now, music. So she's smart, and so, and I haven't listened to all that Welcome to New York. That's the last thing I listened to when she switched. And my point is, though, is she has a lot of good songs. I don't feel like the songs I've heard, they seem professional. Yes, I'm saying this positively. They seem professional. They seem very musical. And almost third person. I know she sings songs about herself. I'm not trying to, and I'm not telling you that's wonderful. But I'm saying this, it's more like I'm listening to a song. And the same thing with like Bruno Mars and Tori Kelly. And I didn't put these here for a purpose, but I'm saying it's like, it's almost a third person performance. They're singing it, and Tori Kelly, of course, an incredible vocal musician, and Bruno Mars, my gosh, same thing. Um, but it's like, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, he's just, they're just gonna fall and die on the stage, because their guy left them, or they just don't know what the meaning of life is. John Mayer, stop this train. Um, you know, anyway, point is, I don't get the feeling that these things are happening to them as much. And I know, and we could adjust song to song, of course, for each person. They would have a really loving song, a really aggressive song. Each person, I mean, James Taylor, gorilla, he's still a gorilla. I doubt if that's very personal. But and Frank Sinatra, you know, with Frank Sinatra, if you've listened to him, we're talking about performance concepts for you. And so it's Frank Sinatra, the term, the chairman of the board, um, the term, the thought process of the chairman of the board is, it's sort of like it is third person again, but it's sort of like his character. I'm not sure that's quite the right word. His musical character, it's like this is very ponderous. That's not quite the right word. Forceful, thoughtful. I thought to sing this. This is the way it should be. Listen to me sing this song. And if you think about it, of course, that's normal. I thought I was fixing to say covers, 40s, 50s, 60s, 30s. That was the gig. Was that somebody introduces a song, and within 2 years, there's 30 covers, and everybody loves it, and everybody wants to hear the covers. They want to hear Doris Day's version of it. They want to hear Nat King Cole's version of it. They want to hear Perry Como's version. They want to hear Dean Martin's. They want to hear so and so's version of the same song because that's cool. And then more recently, it's like, oh, you stink because you're doing covers, and that's not right. But anyway, so when you hear Frank Sinatra, you think, oh, he's making a statement. So my point is, you've got to decide. You've got to decide what you are projecting when you perform, and it has to be a performance. We could stop and say, this small, you've got to be convincing when you sing. That's absolutely true. But it actually goes a lot more than that. And I was saying people like Tori Kelly, and let's say Bruno Mars, both of them for sure, not every song, but as a whole, perhaps, we wouldn't necessarily say there's so much. You'd say there's a lot of skill. My gosh, they're so skillful. My gosh, they're so passionate. My gosh, they're so powerful, with their voice. But I wouldn't say that happened to them, Bruce Springsteen, and the Eagles, we just commenting. we would not say, oh my gosh, how did anybody ever conceive of doing that so hard? It's so intricate. No, it's just normal. Uh, but what you get with that, and a lot of the country music, same too, you get the idea that this is somebody just sitting down after a day's work, and he sits down on the back porch and he starts singing a song, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and this is just sitting around with a drink in my hand and singing, And I don't mean country, I mean one of the guys, Anyway, you need to decide how you're going to perform. Individual songs will change. You also need the arc of your performing. What are you performing like? So whatever you decide to do, most people have got to amp up what they are doing. Now, I've talked about, in the very beginning here, I called them organics. And I meant people who are natural musicians. I do, of course, know and have had students, besides knowing, and had students that are natural musicians. At least half of them do not pursue music. That doesn't mean a thing. It's not like a negative. It's just I wish they would have, but I'm saying that's neither here nor there. It's just like I know somebody, for example, who is a fantastic photographer, but who does not see that photography is just a tool to them to create. They don't particularly care about photography. So it's kind of like at least half of the people I know who are musically gifted naturally as students or as performers. It's kind of like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I have perfect pitch. Yeah. And then I'm not, but I'm a realtor. I'm a banker. Anyway, so the point is that for the people who are not organically skilled in performing, which would be 70% of people, what you decide to do with your music in a performance aspect, you have to probably amp up and be really aggressive, a lot more aggressive than you naturally are. We do not, the 70%, this 80% of people who are not extreme extroverts and going around, we call them drama queens, but I don't mean sad, pay attention to me, but I mean like they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do in this meeting, and no, it's like big aggressive personalities, men or women, so there's many musical famous people that are like that, but not the majority. So if you're not, we'll call it in a moment, performance gifted, then you want to think about what you want to come across. Am I coming across as sincere, deeply personal? And of course, yes, it would vary from song to song, but just sort of a general thing. So you think of Sarah McLachlan, or you think of Alison Krauss. It's like, okay, the general gig is, this is so true. It's just reality and truth, And then you would think of Freddie Mercury, and you would not think, oh my gosh, he's just, Beelzebub has a devil set aside for me, and another one bites the dust. It's not, it's a different vibe. So anyway, you're thinking of what you want to be, and the people that you admire. I'm talking about, you think of what I'm telling you to do now. Think of the 2 or 3 people musicians, performers, in their performing, that you admire the most. You say, this is the bomb. This is so cool. Then you should look into those people and what are they, and try to decipher what I'm talking about, not their life story, but what's the gig that they're getting across, and you should try to emulate that and see what fits. I'm not telling you to be like them per se. I'm saying there's a start, and you probably will have to be excessive about it from your perspective. Like I said a minute ago, about 20 minutes ago, I said when you're trying to open up your throat and do like this, and you hear how fuzzy that sounds, but you probably cannot do that and speak. Because just the act of opening up my throat that much is something I've done a lot, but something you may not have done very much. So in terms of performing, you getting all excited and, grabbing a mic and walking across the stage and pointing at people, if you haven't done that before and you're not naturally a performing person, a showy person, then you're thinking you're walking around and pointing at people on the stage, but what you're probably doing is just thinking, standing still and kind of raising your hand about halfway, you know. So anyway, I'm saying figure out the two people that you like the best live performance, looking at that, thinking of their live performances, try to emulate that, and then you probably will have to turn the dial up. Yes, I see them doing this, and I think I'm doing it, but you know, video yourself. Am I really getting up there? And at first, those things feel unnatural, but then they'll end up being good. Okay, let me grab one more topic. Let's see if I can make it random. Vibrato. There you go. Okay, so first off, you know, vibrato is a vibration. And there's two kinds of vibration used in music, and one is frequency modulation, and others amplitude modulation, FM and AM. And we want to use amplitude modulation. We want to go loud and soft and loud and soft and loud and soft. Not that's sharp and flat and sharp and flat or sharp and normal, you know. We don't want a frequency variation, because how can we sing in tune if we're going a quarter step sharp and back and like that? How can we? We can't. And that goes for all instruments, although most instruments ignore that or figure a way around it. So all you need to think of, and listen, so we want vibrato first off. And any note that this is all, oh my gosh, these are such ballpark, you know, having to make these gross generalizations. But if a note lasts more than 2 beats, it probably needs vibrato. You know, you could say 1 beat. Depends on how fast the song is, of course. So we have a long, slightly longish note. We want something to happen to it. Now, so do this for me to begin with. Go. Now I can't go. Don't do this. That here the air stops. So that means my note would stop. So here I am. Then you go fast. Now put a note to that. Now I did say frequency versus amplitude. In other words, I want loud, soft, and you could write it out. Loud, soft, loud, soft. Now there is some frequency variation in that. It's almost impossible to make those changes without in a very granular way of looking at it, that you're going sharp and flat, whatever. But we're not shooting for that, so we're minimizing that variation. So we're going loud, soft, and let me this is just blabbing out stuff about vibrato. If you cannot slow down your vibrato, you're in a trap. You're in a vibrato trap. And so you've heard plenty of people going, and they're singing, you know, I got to get off. I've been waiting, but I'll do it. I've been waiting for a girl like you. And you're like, oh my gosh. So you could be that way, quite seriously. Maybe 1 in 20 students who come to me are stuck in that, you know. And so what you got to do is quit. That's laryngeal, I can't say it. Having to do with larynx, vibrato. And so we want to make it from the diaphragm, making air. So anyway, so if you're doing that too fast, and for everybody, you're trying to go from here. And at first, you may not be able to control it. That is, it's like that. But that's okay. We're just starting with that. Eventually, it will not be very much of a push from the diaphragm. So we don't want uncontrollable vibrato. We don't want too fast vibrato. We do, and this is just more generalizations, we do adjust the speed of the vibrato to the fastness of the song. The song is slow, we would have slow vibrato. The song is fast, we'd have fast vibrato. But it always has to sound musical, and that is an artistic decision. There's not a, vibrate like this, exactly the speed for this situation. I personally find it very attractive to hear somebody go, and I love you so. To vary it, have none, add some. That's not the only thing to do. But I'm just saying, to vary it, it feels makes to me it makes me pull in and listen to that person sing a note. Where did it go? There you go. Fifth, sixth, seventh, and so it's cool to vary. So okay, so that's my statement on that. Okay, now if you got any questions about anything, you need to email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. I can't email you, so but hopefully in a few days that'll be fixed. So let's see, this was a music seminar from Promethean Studios and Mark at Dallas Music Lessons, and this was Hidden Skills of a Successful Vocalist, How to Flourish as a Singer. And yes, indeed, these are things that singers have to master, and we didn't get to half of them, but that's okay, because all these things are, if you wrote everything down that you're supposed to do, it's still like you're going to spend 5, 10, 15, 20 years learning to do those things. You're applying enough of them that you start sounding good, and again, you cross that point to where people not worried about you messing up, and they go like, oh, that is cool. I like listening to that girl sing. While you are continuing to add to your range, continuing to get a more exciting timbre, learning how to control your breath to sing and have beautiful sounds, and you can put turns and licks and exciting things in you know how to use the glottis, you know how to switch from head to chest to mixed voice at the right times, all these things that people want to do. So anyway, again, Mark at Dallas Music Lessons. Website is dallasmusiclessons.com. My name is Mark Black. I'm fixing to turn this off and watch me in my stream. Watch me. Here I go. All right. See you guys on YouTube.